George here. Well, I want to share with you something kind of interesting that I learned. I was seeing the Netflix The Crown. Season 4 is very much focused on the life of Princess Diana in the early parts of her marriage, when she was still young, and of course we see the breakdown of her marriage with Prince Charles, and as I was reading through that, I got interested in Princess Diana, and so I thought, okay, I took a look at her Wikipedia, and I noticed that when she was buried, because as you know, she was killed in a car crash, and there's some conspiracy theories of that, and the time that the funeral procession started was 9:08 a.m. And I thought, 9:08, like 9 plus 8 is 17, and with all of this thing going on with Q at the moment, I thought, I wonder. So I had to check this. I went to the YouTube and I looked at the BBC One coverage of the funeral. And it starts off with seeing all of the crowds waiting for the procession to begin, all the way from Kensington Palace, and then they go all the way to the Westminster Abbey for the funeral service. Taking a route that would allow the coffin, even if it was a closed coffin, to be viewed by as many people as possible. And it was very widely televised, and I think there were, it billed billions. Maybe 2.5. It's a very well televised. Even I remember. You probably all know where you were if you were still alive at that time. Yes, I remember. I was actually in. I can't remember the exact country. I might have been in Thailand or I was working for a company where I was doing a lot of traveling, and there were some British members in my team then, and they were, of course, they were all fans. It was all very distant to me. But I remember the funeral, how widely viewed it was, even by people who were not British. Because I think Princess Diana, as an image, as a celebrity, was well loved by many one. As a very beautiful personality. Okay, so 9:08, and I viewed the BBC One documentary of the funeral. I mean the actual televised funeral. It's on YouTube. And I hear, after the crowds are seen milling about, and then I hear a big band chime 9 times to signify it's 9 o'clock. And the commentator, whose name I can't remember, he says it's 9 o'clock. In 8 minutes, the funeral procession will begin, something like that. And I said, 9:08. So it really is 9:08. And I see in Wikipedia it's 9:08. So it got me wondering. Then I started to look at, all right, let's look at the burial site of Princess Diana, which is in her family estate, in the Spencer family estate in Althorpe, in the countryside in England. And they have a large estate there, and they constructed an artificial lake, and in the center of the lake was an island. And if you look at aerial photographs of the island after it was renovated in 2017, okay, again, the number 17 crops up again because it was falling into disrepair, and there was this idea of let's renovate it. Of course, all of these ideas started to come up in 2017, right? It was like 20 years after the funeral. I mean, she was buried in 2007. 2007? No, 1997. Sorry, 1997. So 20 years after is 2017, and they said, okay, let's renovate the burial site because it was, getting a lot of fungi, and it was overgrown with vegetation, and they did that. If you look at aerial photographs after the renovation, you'll see that there's the pathways form a queue on the island in the center of the lake where Princess Diana is buried. Which reminds me to John F. Kennedy Jr.'s burial site as well. It's also in the form of a queue. And they're speculating that John F. Kennedy is Q. I'm beginning to wonder, about Princess Diana then, because there's speculation about John F. Kennedy maybe still being alive, and maybe John F. Kennedy is Q, or at least part of that Q team. I wonder if Princess Diana is also the same. After all, the code words are there. Q17, mysterious death, supposedly taking them out of the public limelight, but they could still be alive working behind the scenes. And of course, Princess Diana would be very familiar with the workings of the royal family, because she was an insider. And the same, so, and now, in looking in the conspiracy literature on this, Dodi Fayed apparently is one of the good guys in the House of Saud. In the House of Saud, they have their deep state as well. And the deep state took over all the bad guys in the House of Saud, Saudi Arabia. And the bad guys were taken over. And Dodi Fayed was one of the good guys. One of the white hats, as it were, on the Saudi side. And happens that Princess Diana struck up a relationship with him, and she's only 3 weeks later she was killed or disappeared, similar to the way John F. Kennedy was. So I suspect, and this is really going to be a wonderful conspiracy theory if it's true. But I'm speculating. I'm speculating that just like John F. Kennedy Jr., Princess Diana may still be alive, and she'll be around my age. I mean, more or less, She was born in 1961, and I was born in 1962. So, she'll be, she might be getting her, if she would be pushing almost 60 now, and no idea. I wonder if we should be recognizable when we see her. And anyway, this is interesting, and if it is true, and if things are coming to a head, and if there's the Great Awakening coming out, and we're about to go into a different world order, which is not the new world order as envisaged by the Satanists, but a different world order that is based on the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Because this is, remember, for those of you who are spiritually connected, this is a battle between good and evil, between God and Satan, and of course God wins. And it could be that this golden age, which will last until the prophesied and eschaton, where there will be the grand showdown again. But in the meantime, before that, we will have something called the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. We will have Christendom reestablished again. And you could see it in your lifetimes. If I think I might be able to see it in my lifetime, and I'm getting a bit old now. But I'm very optimistic about it. So that's something positive to hear about, right? Princess Diana still being alive. Wow, that would be something wonderful. She of course, if William becomes king, then she would be the Queen Mother. Yeah. Cool. All right. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. Okay, George, sign off. See you soon.